Hi everyone, children. It's Mr Yeardsley here at school. Do you remember when I read Elmer the other day? I mentioned the name of the author. His name was David McKee. And I think I said that he wrote a cartoon series called Mr Ben. Well, I was looking around the Limpat library and look what I found. Mr Ben's book. It's called The Extraordinary Adventures of Mr Ben. And this one, he's a spaceman. By David McKee. It was just an ordinary day in Festive Road. Boys played with toy rockets while their mothers brought home the shopping. Number 52 was Mr Ben's house, but he was nowhere to be seen. On the road. Mr Ben was in the back garden talking to his neighbour. "Why is it," asked the neighbour, "that your grass looks greener than mine?" "That's strange," said Mr Ben. "I always think yours look greener than mine." And they both laughed. Mr Ben always wears a suit and a tie. Mr Ben decided to go for a walk in the park. He sat on a bench and he watched a boy fly a kite. "I wonder if I would go above the clouds if the string was long enough," he thought. "It would be so interesting to go up into the clouds." All of a sudden, Mr Ben tingled with excitement as he remembered the costume shop. In almost no time at all, Mr Ben was in the special shop where adventures start. As if by magic, the shopkeeper appeared and he greeted him. As shopkeeper. "Good morning, sir. I do believe you made up your mind already." "I'd like to try the space outfit," said Mr Ben. "You know the way, sir," replied the shopkeeper, pointing to the changing room. Mr Ben changed into the space outfit in no time. He looked at himself in the mirror and then headed for the door that always led to adventures. And he's not in the shop anymore. On the other side, he found himself in a spaceship. Another spaceman was at the controls. "Hello," he said. "Ready for the blast-off?" "Here we go then." Mr Ben felt the spaceship surge as it lifted off. "Where are we going?" said Mr Ben as he watched the stars through the windows. "To a planet covered with gold and jewels. We'll be rich," said the spaceman. "That would be fun," thought Mr Ben. But when Mr Ben looked through the window, all he could see was a very ordinary planet. The spaceship landed with a bump. Mr Ben followed the spaceman down the ladder. Lying all around were lumps of glittering gold and jewels, just as the spaceman had said. "We're rich," said the spaceman, and they walked around, filling their arms with the best pieces of gold and jewels they could find. All of a sudden they met a man dressed in rags, sitting on a lump of gold. "Hello," said the man. "What are you going to do with that load?" The spaceman laughed. "We're rich. We can do anything we like." "I'm afraid you're wrong," said the ragged man. "It's no good to you at all. There are no shops on this planet, so there's nowhere to spend the riches. Anyway, as soon as you leave this planet, they'll turn into ordinary stones. This planet is useless. The next planet is the place to be. There they live in comfort, food, clothes, in fact, everything is free." "In that case, we may as well go to the next planet," said the spaceman. So they put down their gold and jewels and made their way back to the spaceship. But Mr Ben took one piece of gold with him to see what it would look like when it changed to stone. The spaceship zoomed away from the planet on its journey. "There it is," said the spaceman as they spotted another planet coming very close. The spaceship landed near a town. Mr Ben and the spaceman saw that the shops were full of things, and nobody looked poor. In restaurants, people sat outside and ate for free. Mr Ben and the spaceman sat down too, and they looked around. But something was wrong. They noticed that apart from themselves, everything else looked colourless. See, there's no colour. "Tell us about this dullness," they said to the waiter. "Well," said the waiter, "there's no colour here at all, and if you stay here very long, you'll be just like us. But there is another planet not far away where everything is very bright. "That's for us," said the spaceman. "Let's go there. I don't fancy a life without colour." Back in the spaceship, Mr. Ben watched the grey planet get smaller and smaller as they headed towards the next planet. Stars glittered as they sped past. "I hope the next planet will be more colourful," said Mr. Ben as they flew nearer. "We'll have a good look round first," replied the spaceman, "and we won't even get out if we see anything wrong." Well, once they'd landed, they peered out of the window. Everything looked all right. Colourful birds flew past. There were bright flowers and trees. They saw gaily coloured houses, people dressed in vivid tones walking about. Mr. Ben and the spaceman looked through the telescope just to make sure. The only unusual thing they could see were the hats that everyone wore pulled down over their ears. "Just the fashion," said the spaceman. "Let's go outside." But they soon realised that the hats were not just for fashion. Everyone had their ears covered for one very good reason. The air was filled with the most horrible screeching noises. Mr. Ben and the spaceman ran back to the spaceship and took off into the night. Before they'd gone far, the spaceman said, "I'm lost. We'll have to stop at the next planet we pass and ask the way." So, once again, they landed. This time, the planet was very, very hot. Too hot, in fact. But at least it was quiet enough to be able to talk. Nobody was about. Then, as if by magic, a man appeared. Mr. Ben recognised him as the shopkeeper. "We're lost," explained the spaceman. "We've been to all sorts of planets, but we don't know where to go next." "There is a place that is not altogether perfect, but then there's not much wrong with it either," said the man. "We'll try there," said the spaceman. "I think I'll stay here," said Mr. Ben. "I've had enough of travelling." So he watched the spaceman climb into the spaceship and waved goodbye to him. "It is very hot, sir," said the shopkeeper. "Step into the cave and keep cool." Mr. Ben went into the cave, and as he expected, he was back in the changing room of the shop. He took a last look at himself in the mirror, then changed into his own clothes. "Where did you send the spaceman?" he asked as he returned the spaceship man outfit. "Here, sir, back to Earth," said the shopkeeper. "It's not perfect, but it's not too bad either." Back in Festive Road, people went about their business as usual. At his gate, Mr. Ben took the lump of stone out of his pocket. Nobody would believe that this was once gold, he thought, but I'll always keep it. Then I will remember. Sometimes it's best to be in a place that is quite nice, but not too nice. And sometimes some people think that they want the best all the time. And that was a little bit about like that spaceman. He was a bit selfish, wasn't he? And we try not to be selfish at our school. We try to take care of each other, don't we? Children, I hope you enjoyed the story. I'll read you another one again soon. Remember our school motto: if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours and keep on smiling.